So, welcome everyone to the Real Talk podcast with Carrington and Kassarian. One of your hosts, Carrington Hatton, and on the other line, I have.
Cassarian Spence, how you guys doing today?
All right, cool. So, we we look. I'm gonna keep it 100. This is Real Talk. So we fucked up and didn't record the past half an hour of the previous take of this episode. But we're back. We persevere, and we're gonna keep it going.
We're back at it again.
um,
Bad habit.
uh, oh damn, that's quite a remark. That's a whole lot of things to unpack there. But anyway, here is our topic for the week. So this is such a large topic. And the original topic was organize your life. But since it's such a large topic, we had like so many different areas that we're going to touch on. We took each one of those things we were going to talk about and made them into other episodes. So we are talking about only one of those right now, and this is part one: work-life balance.
Indeed.
So I have a few questions for us, but this is especially relevant this particular week, and that's how we're going to start. So our first question is just introing with those experiences that we had over the past week, and what do you think that you took from it? So if you could start, Sarah.
Yeah, so for the past year and I want to say 8 months, I've been working overnight at like Home Depot whilst also doing school, except for January through, I guess you could say August of 2021. That's insane that we're in 2022 already. Because I took a semester off because online school really isn't my jam. So aside from that, I was just working, and before then, I was a full time student. Um, so in the last week, I'm officially unemployed. I gave in my month's notice at the beginning of March. It is. I don't know when you guys are going to be hearing this, but at the beginning of March 2022. And technically, I'm still employed by them, but I'm on vacation because I wanted to use all my time before I left. Um, yeah, just the last week has been very peaceful, and I got a taste of it about 2 weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago, where I took 2 weeks off just for mental health because like I was struggling in school, and it was really hard for me just to like I don't know proceed and do the things that I wanted to do. So, um, I decided to take 2 weeks off, and in that 2 weeks, I realized how like freeing it was, and how like kind of like peaceful it was for me to do whatever I wanted. Because what would happen is I would leave for work around 6:30 p.m. I would walk to work, be on the clock, and I come back to work, back home. I get back home around 1 a.m., 1:30 a.m. Um, and that was like during the week, right? So like I had to make sure that like dinner was made, because if I didn't have dinner made, I would have to make dinner, and that means I would have to go to sleep around like 3 a.m. instead of maybe like 2 a.m. or 2:30 a.m. You know what I mean? And then I have to wake up early because I want to go to the gym before I go to class, and then this and then that. It was just a whole mess. But now that I'm like free, it's just a whole different game. I get to just do what I want. Um, what I said in the original take of this was that I liken it to, and it's not even that like I'm doing only productive things. Like this past week, I've just been playing a video game that I bought, but it's things that I want to do. You know what I mean? Like I don't have to do like to warp my entire day around work. And what I told Carrington was that I haven't had class on Fridays since the first semester of my freshman year. And I knew somebody at the time who was like, I only have one class on Fridays, so like it's cool too. And I'm like, I don't want to be like I was trying my hardest not to sound like an asshole or anything, but I was like, there's a difference between having one class, which would only be like 50 minutes, it's less than an hour, and having no classes. Because you still like now that you have this one class, you have to warp your entire day around this one singular obligation. So like me, I didn't have to because I wasn't in class. You know what I mean? Like I didn't like I could wake up whenever. I could go to sleep on Thursday whenever. I could do absolutely whatever I wanted. But with that being said, I liken that same principle to work. No matter how long you're working, like just the cloud of work looms over your day, especially somebody like me who doesn't work at the beginning of the day. I work at the end of the day. Like when my whole day is like damn near done, that's when I go to work. I have to like the only perk I would say of that is that it allowed me to really go about enjoying every moment that I have before work, and that kind of just extrapolated into like me just enjoying my time in general. Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't really know what else to say about it.
Mhm. Yeah, I understand that there was that one portion that made me think about how back when I used to work at Chick-fil-A, I would not want to do anything before work. I would
Yeah,
be a little bit stressed out, like all the way up to when I went into work, which would be at 4:30 usually. But like I'd be literally so fucking stressed out. Like my friends would be like, "Oh, we can hang out. You don't have to work until 4:30." And I'd be like, "Oh," but like, and then like I would be in this kind of like I don't know, like vigilant, like I'll be like tensed up a little bit
yeah,
because I wanted to make sure like everything was like done by the time, make it there on time. Like, yeah, it was stressful. It was absolutely stressful. And yeah, you're right. It having that kind of just block just thrown into your day in terms of like your time freedom, it colors the rest of your day no matter how small it is. And for school, for example, like if I had to wake up early for one Friday class, it would be terrible because now the rest of my day is fucked up. I might be tired for the rest of the day, or might not even be able to enjoy it, the way I wanted to. That
exactly,
sort of thing. Mm.
exactly. And the thing about work was like it's really interesting that you said that you were vigilant. The only thing that like I was blessed that the last couple of months like I realized that I was in a very specific position that they needed me way more
Mm.
than I needed them. So like
Mm.
as somebody who really prides themselves on being like a really good worker and everything, at a certain point I was kind of like, oh hello, fuck y'all. Like I came into work late, not super late, but like maybe like 10 minutes late or something like that. They would like, or like I call out, like I really try my hardest not to call out, but then I realized there was no penalty for me doing that, and there was no perk for me not doing it. Do you know what I mean? So I was like,
Mm.
fuck it. It was funny because sometimes my one of my bosses would be like, "You're late," and I'm like, "You want me to go home?" Because I will take my ass home like literally right now. Like I have not clocked in yet. Like I can come in sick. Like it does not matter to me.
Mm.
Um, yeah, but like that was only because I had been at that job. That's the longest job that I've held for any amount of time. That's not because I'm just like wildly job hopping. It's just because like I've only had 3 jobs: Krispy Kreme, Target, Home Depot. Krispy Kreme was like about 8 months. Then I went to college. Target was just a quick over the summer drawn, and then Home Depot was, the year and a half.
Mm.
But being there a year and a half, I realized that like, again, like I'm special. Y'all can't replace me.
Mm.
So,
Yeah, that made you want to push those boundaries.
and I was able to, and even when I quit, they were trying to give me more bread, but I was just like, no, it's diminishing returns at this point. You've known that I wanted more money this entire time.
Mm.
So, yeah. But yeah, how's your interaction with work been over the last week? Because you had some changes as well.
Yes, so I have never worked a full-time position in my life, really. Technically, still haven't. I've only had part-time jobs, and then so I had a part-time job at Chick-fil-A, and in my high school, junior and senior year, it was like 2017 and 2018, and then in 2020, I had a freelance position as a salesman, so like I could make my own hours with that. Like that wasn't really time constricting either. Yeah, you know what that was all about.
That was
um,
2020. Do you mean 2019?
oh wait, no, yeah, you're right. It was 2019. You're right. Um, and then I haven't really worked since then. In 2020, I did this voting, like we were doing a voting social movement thing, and we were like organizing meetings for that, but like I wasn't getting paid for it. But it was still, I put a lot of effort into it. Um, didn't really, I don't think I had any work in 2021, just a lot of different volunteer things, but none of which was extremely time committing. So all that to say that this past week has been incredibly, um, just incredibly earth shattering, honestly, in a way, because I've never experienced anything quite like it before. So I have an internship at I have a legal internship, and basically, I hadn't been able to get many hours in because COVID was going on. A lot of people at the place I work was getting COVID and things like that. And I spring break hit, so this past week was my spring break, and I finally had the time to dive into it, get those hours in. And I was just like, I'm gonna get as many hours as I can get this week, like possible. And I'm just gonna grind it out. And a lot of people will be like, "Oh my God, you like took your whole spring break to work?" And I was just like, I mean, like, yeah, but like um, I didn't really mind it because I knew it was all extremely productive and something I would not have been able to do during the semester. Um, but yeah, I was in at 9 and out at 4:30 every single day this week, Monday through Friday, and it was just yeah, like literally 9 to 5. I've never done a 9 to 5 before. As much as I talk about often, like in many on TikTok and in real life, about how like I just don't want a 9 to 5, like long term, like the dream. I do not want a 9 to 5. And I finally experienced it like straight up for a full week the first time, and I was just like, wow. I think the only reason I survived it was because I knew it was just this week.
Yeah, it was just this week, straight up. Yeah,
Yeah, like knowing that there was a cap off, I was able to persevere through it, and I was able to have motivation every morning. But like I felt my energy slowly decreasing as the week went on, because I had to like I was able to push it on Sunday when I first started it. I went to bed at like midnight and woke up at 7. But throughout the week I realized I needed to wake up even earlier. And then like as soon for me when my sleep schedule gets off, like it just takes like 3 or 4 days for it to get back on track,
right.
and for me to actually have energy when I wake up. So energy was slowly decreasing throughout the week. Um, I learned a lot in terms of focus though. So luckily I am very interested in the legal profession and like things like that. And this week I actually got to do like, paperwork and like signing documents, creating documents based on case information, things like that. And that is something I'm really interested in. So the kind of focus I had throughout the week was something that was really interesting because it made that time not feel like 8 hours. So I was focused like as soon as I got there. And I was also like, I wasn't trying to prove myself, but I was just like, I'm in this legal environment. Like, this is a bunch of professionals, people who have worked to get their, their JDs and things like that. So, like, in that way, I was like always like on my P's and Q's.
Right.
I always wanted to stay like completely awake and aware. But that forced me to, not forced me to, but I chose to stay in the present, and that made that time fly by. So that 9 to 5, like got my dad dropped me off at 9, and I blinked and it was 4:30. I was just like what the fuck just happened? But as I said in the previous take of this, I had to, like you said in your portion of this, shape my whole life around this big, huge time commitment. So that was waking up every day at 7 on the dot, going outside to meditate, exercise. Because like I said earlier in the other take, I am like a corpse when I wake up, and especially in the morning, and I have to like clear off so many cobwebs just to like get out of bed, let alone like think and be productive, because everything that I was doing was mental work. It was not tasks, like straightforward tasks or mental or physical work. So I had to wake up early, meditate, exercise, shower, and not only that, but like either the morning of, but usually the night before, I had to meal prep. So I had to have a lunch because I have a very limited diet. I'm a pescatarian, so I had to like cook the Sunday for the week, but that didn't really work out because I realized that I didn't cook enough, and I was basically out of food by Thursday. So I had to make more food, and then like literally on Thursday, I was just eating mostly rice because like there was like a couple vegetables left. It was rough, but that's yeah something that I've never experienced before, and like yeah, my whole life shifted around that. And that is something I cannot see myself doing long term. Like, again, I survived because it was this week. Like, I was able to rationalize, be like, all right, it's going to end on Friday. Just push through to Friday and you'll be good. But I can't even imagine how stressed out I would be right now on this call because it's Saturday right now. How stressed out I would be right now knowing that I would have to do all that shit over again on Monday.
Yeah, man, that's like a crazy thing that I think about, right? So I wasn't doing so that was like that's essentially a 40-hour work week that you did.
Yeah.
1 week back in the height of my like when I was really really grinding and I wasn't in school, I did a 51-hour work week. Most insane thing that I ever did in my life, and I would not recommend it to like really anybody.
My gosh.
Yeah, like essentially like after that I was like never again. Like this cannot happen again.
Mm,
But the majority of the time I was doing like 30, 35, something like that. Sometimes I hit the 40, sometimes I hit a little bit over. But
mm,
even then, the last couple of months I've been doing only 22 hours a week.
mm,
It's only been Tuesday through Thursday, I do 7 p.m. to 1 a.m., which is only 6 hours. And then on Fridays, I only do 4 hours. I get off at 11 so I can enjoy my life just a fucking little. Just a little. Um, and even then, at the job that I was, like before, they wanted me to work weekends, Saturday and Sunday. They tried to, like, when I was really lucky, they got me Thursday and Friday off, but nobody was really doing anything on Thursday and Friday. Um, yeah, that, like, the idea of me, like, and it started creeping in, like, low, like, towards the last, like, 2 months of me working. Just the idea that, like, okay, this is the start. And again, I'm only working 4 days, not five. I'm not doing weekends or anything like that. I'm not doing four, like, super, super long shifts. But, like, when it came to, like, Monday night, I was like, fuck, I have to go to work, right? Like, I had to like make sure that again that I cooked like you, not for lunch or anything, but for dinner because when I came home so late, like I have to wake up early so I can go to class. That was really difficult. Um, and just like amongst other things, it's really really challenging that way. To like sustain that mentally for people like us, like people who are younger. Um, and people who also kind of like don't have drastic familial or crazy like monetary obligations. I don't have a car, right? Um, so I know I don't have to pay insurance. I know I don't have to pay car upkeep. I don't have to pay a car note. I don't have to pay for gas, any of that. But I know people who have a car, right? So they have to worry about now all four of these things. You feel
mm,
me? And then, God forbid, like somebody has a child or somebody has, a sick parent and they have no siblings, and then like their grandparents also like didn't come from money and stuff like that. So
mm,
some people have to actually grind like that, which is in
mm,
itself an insane thought to me. Um, but we don't, and I think
mm,
that we're lucky that like we don't have to, and I'm blessed that I have these experiences now because I
mm.
know that I never want to be in a position where I have to.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I'm diving into entrepreneurship like now, like literally for this reason. Like I realized that, this season and like you just as soon as you can, like is the time to like start building something that whereas like your time and your money is completely in your hands, that sort of thing.
Indeed.
Um, but yeah, I hear you on that. Like from that, like I think about it like this, like in terms of that natural state, like things that you cannot get by without doing. So that's like eating, sleeping, all the other like obviously obvious things. But like to certain people, like the people that you were mentioning, working a 9 to 5 is not an option. That's like one of the things that they have to do in order to survive.
Indeed.
And yeah, I've never experienced that. And in some sense, having that option makes it more challenging, perhaps, or maybe it's not challenging, but some in some sort of sense, it's just different. Having that be an option versus an obligation or something that either you do it or you live on the streets, which is freaking ridiculous.
Yeah, and I can kind of speak towards that, right? So like, there was a very clear point to where me working became an option, not a necessity. Because I'd saved so much money, because of just like lucky things, stimuluses, blah blah blah, student stuff, like whatever.
Mm.
Um, but at a certain point, like when that thing happened, I have like kind of anxiety about not having money when I need it. So like I was like, okay, I'm still gonna work. I'm gonna save it. I'm gonna work. I'm gonna save it. Like so, whatever. But now for me, like it got to a point where I was like, okay, so this is now affecting my health, my mentality, um, and I think because I don't have, I'm not like diagnosed, but I think I have like a sort of seasonal affective disorder. So like it was winter time, and I was just like, I don't know how I did this like before, right? Like I gotta juggle school. It's cold outside. It's nasty. I gotta walk to work, and it's like 20 degrees out. You know what I mean? Um,
Mm.
yeah. So I don't know. Just that there is a point, and when I realized that it was an option, and I was like, you're gonna be fine if you don't do this. That's when like things just became a lot easier on my mind, right? I knew I didn't have to
Mm.
be. Again, I like being a good worker, but I knew I didn't have to be perfect, right?
Mm.
Even though like kind of the key to being a good worker is really just communication. Just talk to your boss. Like if you don't think something's gonna get done, just tell them that. Like like they can't be like get it done right now or we're gonna fire you. Like they have to go through like
Mm.
certain like protocols and stuff. So yeah, yeah, it's just a weird thing, and I have like strong feelings about it, and it was just hard because like I saw that like some people like that was their only thing, and I was working with people. I was the second youngest person on the clock. The younger,
Mm.
the only person who was younger than me was only younger than me by a couple months. The majority of the people there were like 25 ish. Like not even the majority of the people here weren't even 25. They like were like in their late 30s, 40s, 50s because like they had
Mm.
obligations and they were like convicted for something normally because Home Depot is a fair employer, which means that they don't really do background checks on you, which is super rad. Super like so if you're listening to this and you have a record, Home Depot isn't a terrible place to work. They will give you money. Go put in an application. Um yeah, so it's just a couple things. Like the idea that you have to do this really does just change the entire dynamic and how you interact with it.
Mm. So would you say that that was a motivator, and like in what ways did that need change versus that option?
When I needed it, I was like I went out of my way to distinguish myself as an exemplary worker.
Mm.
In order because like when you first get hired, they're like, "Oh, here's like 10 hours for the week." And I'm
Mm.
like, "I can't get money like this." So I'm like, "Okay, I got to show them that I'm good at this, that I'm nice." Go from there and then I'm like, "Okay, you need me to come in today. You know, you need me to do this, you need me to do that, you need me blah blah blah, you know?" So that they
Mm.
know, and then like lo and behold, if they like have a call off or something, they call
Mm.
me in so I can get to the money. The only
Mm.
thing about that is once they like and at that point like I didn't care, right? So I had to give up my weekends. For about a year I worked Saturday and Sunday, damn near. At like from like 7 p.m. to 3 a.m. So like there's no like fun to be had after 3 a.m. on a Saturday, y'all. Like there's like there's not really there's ain't really shit going on. Sometimes when I was lucky I got off at 11 or 1 maybe. If I was lucky. If I was lucky, which was very little. Um yeah, that need, and then when that turned into a want, it was more like, okay, I can quit. Like one of the things that I told my boss, I was like, okay, I don't really want to work here because when I'm like we switch bosses pretty much. um, my homegirl came in, and I was like, and she's young, she's like 27. So I go up to her and I'm just like, look, I can only work Tuesday through Friday. On Fridays I want to leave at 11. The rest of the week I gotta leave at 1. She's like, okay, that was it. And that was because she knew that this like in verbal, like this verbal agreement was that I will now bust my ass for you, and now because of that you're gonna like help me out with my schedule. And that agreement, like that was because I now had the option to work. If she was like, no, I'm sorry, like you have to work weekends, maybe I would have been like, okay, can I get a every other weekend type deal, right? If she would have said no, I'd be like, thank you, I would have left. No, I would have left, like, because now it's an option, because now I have leverage. And that's kind of what happened when I quit. When I was like, okay, essentially I was like, I mean, I gave him my notice. He was like, why? And I'm like, man, I've been hustling, and y'all don't give me nothing. Like I've been hustling, and y'all, I don't get any rewards for it. And he was like, if it's a wage issue, so like I'll fix that. I'm like, no, it's too late now. Like, so I don't know. That's what I would say about it. Sorry, I've been rambling.
No, you're fine. Something you said really stood out to me and reminded me of something that. So I basically experienced the opposite side of this. So that job I had in 2017 to 2018 at Chick-fil-A, I was not necessarily motivated by need. So the main motivator of me getting the job was just like, I want my own money. I want to be able to like buy what I want, that sort of thing. And I don't want to feel like I don't want to like exploit my parents or like I don't know, like it wasn't even exploiting because they were like willing to support me in whatever way. Like I really wanted to have my own sense of independence in a way. Um, so that was the first job, and I was not very proactive about it. Like I had no interest in like raising up in the ladder or whatever. Like it wasn't a need. Like it was literally just money or whatever. And after like the first like 5 months, 6 months, like I had a decent amount of money that I could spend and save or do whatever with, and then it was just like it was just became the stressor. It just became a stressor. Like it was just like I was stressed out before working, and then I was stressed out, after getting off because I knew that the next day I was gonna have to go back into it. That sort of thing. Like it was just not something that was supportive anymore. And I kind of just the way that I left there, it was just like I was just like fade out to the back. I'm just gonna, if y'all don't mind, I'm just gonna like I'm just gonna leave. Like, I don't have back at that place anyway. I didn't have a huge presence. I didn't have a like I'm fired up or like you said, an exemplary worker. Like I didn't have that sort of thing. In fact, like I mentioned this in a previous episode, like I'm not that confident as a worker, but I'm pretty confident as a student. So as a worker, like I had an inferiority complex, like compared to the other people who were working there, who had been there for like 3 or 4 years at that point, or however long, just longer than me. And even though I did pretty well at my job, I worked at the register. I just never felt confident. So like maybe it was because of the preconceptions that I brought into it. Part of it may have been the management because they were like the type to like always be breathing down your neck in a sense. They'd be like it was like to the point where I got sent home early because I didn't give some sauce to one person. Like it was like that.
Chick-fil-A was no
So
name back in the G. I remember hearing the story about it.
yeah. Oh my gosh, yeah, I have so many service stories. But yeah, I all that to say that I didn't feel very confident as a worker, and that contributed to me not asking for raises, more hours. Like, why ask for more hours when I don't even need the money? That kind of thing. Like, I had money, but I had no specific threshold to meet or bills to pay, that kind of thing. So the motivation was just like lacking until I got to that point when I was just like, all right, y'all, I'm gonna head out. It was like right before college hit. I was just like, not only is this a stressor, but like I'm not gonna keep this up in college. So I'm just like, I'm heading out, y'all. Sorry, bye. But it was
2
just like it
weeks?
wasn't really a thing, huh?
You ain't put the 2 weeks or anything?
No, yeah, I put the 2 weeks in.
Oh, where I thought you were about to hit just like, nah, I quit. Like I'm out. I'm done with this.
No, no, no. It was peaceful. But like I said, I wasn't a notable presence in the space. So like, I put the 2 weeks in, gave it to the manager, and I didn't even tell any of the coworkers. And then one day I just stopped showing up. And then like
Right up.
a couple weeks later, I went there to get some food, and they were like, "Oh, you left or whatever." And I was like, "Yeah, I'm gone."
Dang.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
mean, when I worked at Krispy Kreme, it's kind of like that. But Krispy Kreme, cause I was just trying to get bread. Like I ain't never knew
Mm,
what it was like to have my own money before.
mm,
Um, that was just a wild time. Cause I don't even really remember it, truthfully. Um,
mm,
like I'm trying to remember if I worked weekends, which I probably did. Um, but I was just going through the motions, and it was crazy because like I just did it just for like the job well done, and I love my coworkers for real. Like there was a kind of love for the game, if you will, bro. Like I learned so much stuff from Krispy Kreme that like I carry on now that I kind of had
mm,
no idea that would like that would help me. So one of the things that I learned is like how to hold them up and how to mop. Normally, you just have to, like whatever. But my guy, like Henry, he was like an older black guy. He was real like this is what he did. He was like, a cleaner or more like a janitor type dude. He was
mm,
like, man, you gotta hold it like this, you gotta hold it like this, and you gotta like swish. You feel me? And I still mop like that. Like I just mopped downstairs in my house a couple weeks back, just like he told me that, and then like how
mm,
to stack pallets, my pleasure instead of like you're welcome, like just stuff like that. But at a certain point, like I would be lying to you if I didn't say that some nights were super hard and that I didn't wake up literally sweating, like having nightmares about the ding of the fucking drive-through thing because you had the little headset on. That shit would be insane. That shit would be insane. Like, yeah, but there were some fun times roped in there too, and like Target was really actually just like only fun, which is funny enough. Like that shit was
mm.
really funny. Yeah.
All right. So let's shift gears a little bit.
Okay.
So my second question I have for us is what is your ideal work-life balance? We've talked about like how work, impacts the balance and like what is going on and like your obligations and things like that. So what is the ideal? And I can start this time.
Here you go.
So the ideal work-life balance for me would be literally being able to have my money work for me and just being able to take up work when I want to, and have the freedom and authority, like in a sense you were talking about leverage that you built up, like having that leverage and credibility gives you freedom, to do more things and more of what you want and, less of what you don't want. So I would love to just have enough work so that I feel like I'm achieving my goals or whatever, like being productive, whatever that might be. But just like I don't want like that 9 to 5 thing really, really struck me of how limiting it is.
Yeah.
How like you just like I was able to have a positive mindset throughout the week, but like I just cannot see myself doing that. Just like honestly, time freedom, and that's pretty simple. I think I honestly thought I would come up with a more complex answer, but it's simple because I know how to fill time. I know how to fill it with a good balance of social things and a good balance of things that will help me achieve my goals. So I don't have an issue about like having too much time on my hands. That's never been a thing, or that has been a thing in the past, but more recently it's not a thing because I know how to fill time, block it, be productive, things like that. But that's my balance. Like I really just want to have the freedom to basically make the balance for myself.
Word. Word. Yeah. I mean, so you're entrepreneurially minded, um,
Mm,
which I am actually not. So if like the way that I think about like ideal work life balance is more like, I know that as a writer, I was reading something for class once, and essentially they were like, what you should do is pretend like you gotta think of writing not as, oh, I can write whenever. You gotta think of writing actually like a 9 to 5 type thing. So
Mm.
you gotta wake up, do you like it gave like a time block of a prolific writer. I can't even remember who it was. But
Mm-hmm.
they're like, I wake up, I eat breakfast, I read some or whatever. And then at 9 o'clock, I sit at my desk and I write until like 1 o'clock. And from 1 to 1:30, I have lunch. And then from 1:30 till 5 o'clock, I'm writing again. And then after 5 o'clock, I'm not writing anymore. You feel me? I eat
Wow.
dinner. I enjoy the rest of my day. I go to sleep and I do it again. So like that is an idea that I need to have because like my writing is important and it demands explicit thought. Um, so that's like a work life balance that I would like to have. But I guess the ideal work life balance is, I don't know, man. Like truthfully, like as somebody who found themselves like really like every time I'm on the clock, it absorbs my like life. When I was at Krispy Kreme and then absorbed my life. Granted, I was blessed because my coworkers were great. Um, and I always put my best foot forward, so it wasn't fully stressful. Um, of course, there were a lot of times when it was very stressful. I'm not even gonna lie to you. But the same thing with Target, like it was like pretty fun sometimes. Home Depot would like consume my life up until a couple months ago, where I was like, kind of fuck y'all, like it's not that deep. But it took me a year to get there. So I guess right now what it is I mostly want life more than work. I know that's not really real, right? Like you kind of can't do that, but mm, I kind of want to be in a place where maybe I grind for like 10 years, 15 years, where I'm writing or I'm doing something that possibly, I don't even need to be rich. I just generate funds because I have an idea of like I want to build my own house. Not me personally. I'm not an architect. I can't build, you
Mm-hmm.
guys. Um, but like I want to like I have an idea of a home. Like, I want to build it and like a cool place and just be like isolated kind of. Um, Kind of just vibe out. But I know that's not real. So I don't really know if that answers your question. But like I don't know. That's my ideal work
Mm.
life balance.
Yeah, I mean that does make a lot of sense because you're right. It is unrealistic to and this isn't contrary to anything that I said before, but it is unrealistic to think that work isn't going to be a part. Like it just like as much as like it would be beautiful, really really cool if we could like live like the Garden of Eden and just
Right.
like not do shit all day. But that's just like not realistic. So like work is always going to come in at some point. Um, and what you said about working for 10 years makes a lot of sense because that's kind of the season that we're in. Like, we're in the season of building a life. And then, like, I don't want to make it into a binary, like, build life and then enjoy it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
but in some sense, like, there is a sense of grinding in this right now in the season of life.
Yeah.
Um, and honestly, I'm here for it. Like you said, my perspective is more entrepreneurial minded, but I um, I honestly do appreciate having time blocks sometimes, like the obligated ones. So like being able to shape my day around school is pretty cool because like so lately, what I've been doing, when I do have classes, is I take my morning or whatever, read or whatever, just do whatever. I don't do any work until after my classes. So I go to class and then right after the classes, I go to the library and then do the work for those classes.
Word.
So after leaving the classes, I go to the library and do the work for those classes so that most of the time I'm not doing work at home. I'm not doing schoolwork at home. I leave the library when I'm finished with that work that I know I need to get done for the next class that I have tomorrow, or for the week, or just getting ahead on something that was due for that class that I just left. So in that sense, I'm able to go home, and that's when I'm able to, do TikTok stuff, do book stuff. I'm working on emailing some people for my book stuff and speaking, things like that. But I'm able to have that clear definition. And as far as this past week goes, that's something that I really enjoyed, was being able to have that definition between the lives, in a sense. So like the legal world, like all that stuff that I was doing there was a clear cutoff. At
Right.
4:30, I was like, I'm gone, and my mind was able to decompress and then shift into something else. So having that definite end was really, really great. And honestly, I would probably have been really stressed out if I had like tasks to take home and complete later in the day, because I had super limited time. Like for me, I know that if I'm working all day, I need like honestly a good 1 to 2 to 3 sometimes hours to like just do nothing,
Yeah.
to like watch a show, or like just literally do nothing. And that's enough for me to rebuild my energy to do something else and then go to bed. um but yeah, that I kind of lost my train of thought for a second, but those factors all played into what's been working for this past week and what's been working for school, just like those clear definitions between tasks, even though I'm working a lot.
Yeah, so that's something that you make a great point bringing up. Like when we were doing the entrepreneurial thing in 2019, that was the weird thing because it was like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
I was actually simultaneously working at Target and there.
Mm-hmm.
But when again, like when I left Target, I was only at Target long enough so like I wasn't that close with any of my supervisors or anything like that. They all knew my name. They didn't have my number though, like so they couldn't text me to come in. They couldn't. It was weird. It was like different.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but like with the entrepreneurial stuff, like there's no cutoff. So when I'm in there and I'm like and I'm doing stuff like or like when we were in the office and we were trying to like make calls or whatever, like also like that stuff also like was running through my mind like at
Mm-hmm.
all times. Oh, I have to do this and I have to do that. But that is the perk of having a very defined like job
Mm-hmm.
because like you don't take that shit home with you. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
like if you become a lawyer, probably like especially like prolific
Mm-hmm.
lawyers, you have to do like research at home or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But that is kind of the perk, right? Like, and then even at Home Depot, nobody texts me and was like, "Dog, you did like you left blah blah blah" or whatever. Maybe once or twice, but I can't even remember it. So it didn't even really affect my day. Um,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes they'd be like, "Oh, I really appreciate it. Thank you for staying." Blah blah blah.
Mm-hmm.
But when I left those doors, I'm free. I'm able to do whatever. And when I came in, that's when it was go time. So I don't know. Like
Yeah.
there's checks and there's balances, right? Because like if I was to
Mm-hmm.
make that writing um, itinerary for myself, I would definitely be like when I'm sitting down at my computer right now, which is the same place where I play video games, which is the same place where I do homework, which is the same place
Mm-hmm.
that sometimes if I don't want to just make a couple of steps and go to my TV, like this is where I watch television or something,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So like it is as it is weird and it's difficult. There's like I don't know. There's checks and there's balance. There's perks to it.
Mm-hmm. When you lean more into that entrepreneurial side of it, when you're having time freedom and having to basically just kind of figure everything out on your own, and like there's no definite cutoff, like we talked about there. It requires so much more discipline and so much more effort and so much more like intentional things. Like the reason I stay at the library after school is not because like, oh, like, I mean, it's partially because I'm more productive there. But the main reason was that, so winter break this year, 2022,
Mm-hmm.
I did a lot of TikTok. Like I was, and this is where I make TikToks. I sit right at this desk and I have this light right here and I look right, like literally that's where I do it. And I was doing book stuff, like I was making revamping my website, things like that. And when I started school and tried to come home and do work, my mind would not cooperate with me. It would not. Like all of
Wow.
my creative, like my creative juices and things like that were going at this location. And when I tried to do academic work, it just would not happen. So at this point, it's like I've gotten into this scary place and I'm able to make it happen sometimes here with like smaller things. But like for my voice acting class, for example, that's creative juices as well. So, but for the most part, I have to stay on campus because I have to work in a new environment. I have to create some kind of distinction because it just for whatever reason, I just cannot get my mind to work with me because I worked so hard on other things in this location. But yeah, I needed a different work environment in order to just activate a different side of my part of my brain. I don't know. Like I really don't even fully understand it, but I know that's what I needed.
No, that makes sense, right? So my dad would always tell me, so like, have you ever heard like that you don't want to be doing anything in your bed that isn't sleeping?
Yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah, so I think what it is I mean, it's the association of when we're in one place. When I'm in this chair, right? I know odds are I'm about to be on the go, right? Because like I play video games here and I'm alert when I play video games, or I'm here and I'm talking to you or with the podcast, or maybe sometimes I'm chilling with my friends. Whatever it is, I'm alert. This is my desk, right? This is my
Hmm.
place. When I'm in my bed, and way back in the day, I used to do my bed, like my homework in my bed and everything, and I had trouble sleeping. I still have trouble sleeping. So it wasn't
Hmm.
100% that. But it's the fact that your your brain associates tasks with like feeling. So like if I'm in my bed and I'm laying in my bed, the feeling of my covers on me will elicit my brain, will associate my brain and be like, okay, it's time for me to do homework. When in
Yeah.
reality, I'm just trying to sleep. Or if I'm trying to do homework, it's gonna be like, okay, it's time for me to sleep. When in reality, I'm just trying to do homework. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So that I'm sure that same principle follows you when you're sitting at your desk and you're like, oh, I'm about to do stuff with my book. I'm about to do some TikToks. But instead, it's oh, LOL. It's time for you to oh, I'm just trying to like do homework instead of this other stuff.
Hmm. Yeah, there's you nailed it. You hit the nail on the head with that one. Um, Oh my God. Like, yeah, writing essays is like the huge one. Like, when I'm doing TikToks or like whatever it may be, like I'm letting it flow. Like I'm following a flow and like I'm following creative inspiration, things like that. But when I'm writing an essay, like I need evidence, I need research, I need like there's a clear distinction. And there seems to be like a point where it just becomes overloads. Like if you keep doing homework in your bed, for example, like it's just overload and the brain cannot pick and like it cannot decide what state do you want, you know,
Yeah.
like I don't know, like we do this all the time, like when I get in the car and sit in the driver's seat like I'm about to drive and the brain's ready to drive, like if I'm sitting on the damn toilet like I'm ready to shit and the brain's ready to like
Yeah.
the brain is it likes it likes patterns and it likes things that repeat itself. It likes the brain likes routines, it likes habits. So it's going to adapt to what we typically do. And it associates specific tasks with where we go and what we do. But yeah, sometimes that can be overloading and overwhelming. And I think being aware of that, actually, you shared some insight with me. So I'm going to play around with that, with this whole library thing and see what I can do. Because sometimes there aren't times like last or 2 weeks ago, I had an essay to write and I was busy all day on campus. And then it was like 6 p.m. and I still hadn't written the essay. And I was just like, okay, like what am I gonna do? Am I gonna stay on campus until like what 9, 10 p.m. to write this essay, or am I gonna go home? And just like the stress and like I realized I didn't have enough time because I wasn't working on it at home. I was only working it at the library, so I didn't have enough time to write the entire thing. So it was just like sometimes for me, like in this situation, it's not going to work out. I ended up needing an extension, and thankfully the rest of the class did as well, so I didn't have points off. But not every time's gonna. Yeah, no, right, clutch.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Turn up.
Yeah, but it's not always going to be like that. So like I would like to play around with this and see like what kind of loopholes I could find with this for sure.
Yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
that's definitely like part of it. And I think, well, I'm going to build my own keyboard soon.
Hmm.
And like one of the perks of like having like a mechanical like keyboard is my mind can now like it'd be like, ooh, like I like clicking the little things, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
And typing on my like MacBook laptop keyboard is some butt. So like I have to now figure out, okay, how am I going to make it the most
Hmm.
ideal situation for me to like type things, whether that be
Hmm.
X, Y, and Z. So I think what I'm gonna try to do is like take my keyboard with me, and I think I should do what you're saying is start going to the library because I have like a 9-page paper due on Thursday that I need to get in the lab on, but I'm
Hmm.
like I don't want to, like I'm not, I don't feel like it. So
Yeah,
yeah,
got it.
yeah,
Uh, I have one more question.
of course.
So, and I didn't realize this till after. This was actually supposed to go before the ideal question. But whatever. Um, so yeah, what are the areas of your life that constitute work? Like, this is partly just my curiosity. Like, what are the areas of your life that constitute work, and then what are your areas that constitute life? Because we've been talking about work-life balance this whole time, but like, what is it? Like, what is it for you?
That's a great question. What constitute work? Think anything that I don't do under my own volition. Like, let's just say we live in an idyllic, like, Garden of Eden, like, we do whatever the fuck we want, right? Type deal.
Mm.
Anything that in that scenario I wouldn't go out and do myself, I constitutes work. So any school shit, like, constitutes work. You feel me?
Mm.
Like any homework that I have to do constitutes work. I'd probably still go to class in that idyllic situation. Would I do homework? Probably not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, and life is all the things that I would do in that idyllic situation, right? I play video games. I
Mm.
talk to my friends. I do something like this. I'd um, cook. I'd even then, like I would cook. I would clean because I feel that your space reflects yourself in a way. Um, yeah, I guess that's the best way that I would describe it.
Mm.
What about you?
That makes a lot of sense. And I've honestly since I've been studying like productivity lately. I've been studying ways to overcome procrastination. I've been studying like ways to become more productive. And now that I can, I've found myself neglecting sort of like a lot of like I've thankfully been able to maintain like going out with friends, hanging out with friends, things like that because that's like something that's really important to me. But like I really want to like my room is in a mess right now, but it's like not up to my standards I would have before I got on this like mindset where I'm like I have so much control over my time. I want to always work on the most productive task or whatever is the most like crucial thing. And it's not a hyper thing because like I said, I take like 3 hours after I'm off or whatever. But I just don't have time or I don't make time for the simple things. Like I love having a nice space to work in. Like I have posters from college that I've been meaning to put up that are downstairs in the basement and like this wall over here is like like this wall in the corner near my bed is like completely bare
Yeah,
and like it just is not really that appealing. Thankfully I still have my incense and like candles and things like that I burn. I have a light strip. Thank you, friend who got me that. But I would like to do more laundry. Like there's a lot of clothes that are just like in the fucking shadow realm that I want to
yeah,
wash and wear. Like but since those things are like luxuries, they're just like things that take up a lot of time and do not give me that many results. That kind of thing. So like if I could take the time instead to, I don't know, like literally do anything else. Like they take so much time and give me like just the slightest bit of pleasure. But if I was able to like, grind out this essay really quick or like, choose a topic for this research or read an article, like that's so much more rewarding and more fulfilling. So like in that sense, that is a part of the life side of the work-life balance that I feel like I just like can't fucking find time for. And that's one of the things that I want to do soon. Is like figure out how to make time for that and not sacrifice productivity or um feel like I'm neglecting something important, that sort of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, that I mean that kind of makes sense. I feel like that's not like a wild thing to say, you know what I mean? That's not
Mm,
I I I think a lot of people feel that way. They're like, "Oh, man, I have to do laundry." Especially since like I can't remember where the laundry room is in your house, but like I'm sure it's probably like it's not on the third floor with you, so like you know what I
yeah.
mean? So like
Yeah.
and I feel that too, and like and I'm very lucky myself that like my laundry isn't in the basement because
Mm,
like we don't have a furnished or finished basement in my place right now. So like we would like, and a lot of people in Pittsburgh have that. Like their laundry's all the way in the basement, and seeing as it'd be like 20 degrees, you think I'm about to go from the third floor all the way down to like no heat, 20 degrees to do laundry?
yeah.
Nah,
Yeah, it is in
I
the
can't
basement
man.
for me.
Yeah,
That's exactly what I experienced. That's literally exactly it.
yeah.
Mm,
So yeah, no. So I feel you. I understand. I understand.
mm,
But like I would always like I always tell people I'm like try to work your space out and make it work for you. You know, in the best way that you can. Like move things around, think about it in your head, maybe lab it out. Um, I don't know, maybe loft your bed up if that makes more space. Maybe like I don't know.
oh, huh,
So
interesting.
yeah,
Yeah.
all that stuff.
Mm. Um, and I never got to talking about the work part of it, like my definition of work. And your definition of work makes a lot of sense. Like literally anything that you wouldn't just do, in like a natural state. Um, and that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, for me, it's like literally just school and then this business that I'm trying to build up. Like that's what work is. And also like a lot of these maintenance things are work to like I don't know, like educating myself on finances, like for example, is something that people wouldn't typically think of as like work, but it is because like I really want to like be on top of this whole thing. Things like that, like just anything that involves building my future and like making sure that I'm not struggling in a year or two. Like that is work for me. That's in my mind how work is perceived. Um, and yeah, life is just like things that things that I enjoy doing, things that I don't have to work to make myself do, in a
Mm,
sense. Um, yeah, that makes sense.
yeah. Hmm.
Hmm.
Do you have any more questions for me, Carrington? Or does the TikTok live chat have any questions? I'm curious
That's a good question.
because
Hey,
I noticed
Satosh.
last time afterward we were like
Hmm.
we had some questions, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh, that'd be cool.
Hmm. Well, do any of you who are watching right now have any questions about anything that we've been talking about? And there's only three people, and literally, like, it'd be taking like 10 to 15 to 20 people to have at least one person respond. Like, people just be quiet for real.
It's all good. It's all good. I didn't want to leave that viewership out. Also, like
Hmm.
in the coming days, we're gonna try. Well, I mean, coming days from now, we're gonna try to have like open up the Discord channel to maybe include more engagement. So like if y'all are watching like also on TikTok, y'all can also join in Discord and other things, and then y'all could like watch it live. Y'all want to be able to chime in, but then we would have a questions. So if y'all want to ask questions during or like after, you know what I mean, we could talk to you guys.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, we just want to be able to engage with our community. You know.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I'm getting my foot in the door in terms of and I think we're getting into that mindset of like community building, marketing, like all that stuff, like outreach. Because like I think we're doing a pretty good job in terms of the content department. So like
Yeah,
the all the accessory stuff to like get the content out there is the next step for this podcast
of
for sure.
course, of course.
All
Well, I
right.
mean, yeah, I think that's about it. That's all we talked about
Mhm.
today. Um, Sorry, we definitely. Again, I wish we could have like a bloopers reel of like
Mm,
the other take that we did. Um,
mm,
that'd be like super cool. One of these days, like I don't we don't have that many bloopers, and I like cut off the recording whenever we're like done. But like that'd be
mm.
funny if we could have just like a set where we're just like I don't know, trying to get everything together. But
Yeah.
hey, we're gonna take it one day at a time.
Yeah. All right. So, thank you all for listening. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day. I hope that you got some insights out of this, something that can perhaps enhance your life or reflect on your experience. And let us know your thoughts. So, if anything stuck out to you, if anything was just like, oh shit, that's kind of cool, or like I experienced that too, let us know in the comment section or reach out to either of us. You can find me on TikTok at Carrington Hatton, KarringtonHatton. That's where I'm like most active. But we'll have other sources like this Discord channel, for example, where you could tap into.
Of course, of course. I have an Instagram. I'm not super active on there. If you just look up my name, Kasarian, it'll pop up like that. I'm blessed that like oh excuse me. That nobody else has my name. I actually told somebody that too. I was just like, yeah, if you just look up the Kasarian part on Instagram, you'll find my Instagram. It's not super hard. Um, but yeah, we appreciate you guys for listening always and forever. And don't forget, real talk might be scary, but it is always necessary. Take care. See you guys in like 2 weeks.